This is a Rush transcript from Hannity, August 7, 2017. This copy may not be in its final form and may be updated. Sean Hannity, host. This is a Fox News alert. Welcome to Hannity. Breaking new updates on the massive Democratic scandals that we have been warning you about and the media ignores. But first, tonight I have a message for the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein. Tonight, we are demanding you stop Robert Mueller's mission creep, investigative creep, and put an end to the political witch hunt against President Trump. That's tonight's opening monologue. All right, the Russia investigation, which is being overseen by the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, is beyond corrupt, beyond political, and has now turned into an open-ended fishing expedition. And just like Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein has glaring, inexcusable conflicts of interest that we can no longer ignore. Yesterday, Rosenstein had this back and forth with our own Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday. Take a close look at this. Begin video clip. Fox News Sunday. Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Attorney General. The special counsel is subject to the rules and regulations of the Department of Justice, and we don't engage in fishing expeditions. Now, that order that you read, that doesn't detail specifically who may be the subject in the investigation because we don't reveal that publicly. But Bob Mueller understands and I understand the specific scope of the investigation, and so no, it's not a fishing expedition. Chris Wallace, host. I understand it's not a fishing expedition, but you say any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation in the course of his investigation of the issues that he is looking at. If he finds evidence of a crime, can he look at that? Rosenstein. Well, Chris, if he finds evidence of a crime that's within the scope of what Director Mueller and I have agreed is the appropriate scope of this investigation, then he can. If it's something outside that scope, he needs to come to the acting Attorney General, at this time me, for permission to expand his investigation. End video clip. Hannity. Mr. Rosenstein, you can't be serious. Now, you're not going to let the special counsel turn into a fishing expedition, sir. It already has. Now, remember, this whole investigation was supposed to be about President Trump, his campaign supposedly colluding with the Russians. This has gone on 11 months, no smoking gun proving it ever happened or anything was done in terms of law breaking. But instead of ending it there are reports that Mueller is now looking into the finances of President Trump and the Trump Organization and associates of President Trump, and Mueller has also reportedly impaneled a grand jury in Washington, D.C. Let's go to Washington, D.C. The president got a little over 4% of the vote. More on that in just a minute. So going off of what Rosenstein just said on Fox News Sunday, has now given Mueller the green light. It appears he can do whatever he wants. Legal scholar Jonathan Turley, a Democrat, is out with a brand new opt on thehill.com. He makes several key points about why he rightly believes that Rosenstein needs to recuse himself, including this one. Rosenstein is likely going to be a witness in this investigation that he caused because he took the lead in writing the letter to President Trump on why former FBI Director James Comey should be fired. By the way, they're also looking into that as a possible obstruction. He's a witness. Rosenstein is also the guy who appointed Robert Mueller, and apparently either didn't know or didn't care about the fact that the day before naming Mueller as special counsel, he had an interview with President Trump. He wanted to be the FBI director. You can't make this up. Now, Rosenstein has also sat by quietly, turned a blind eye to Robert Mueller's massive conflicts of interest, like the fact that Mueller and James Comey are close friends, as our colleague and friend and attorney Greg Jarrett continues to point out. That relationship could be a violation of 2 laws. Then take a look at this chart. 8 of the 16 members that Mueller has appointed to his team have made political donations, shockingly, all to Democrats. But the other 8, according to public records, have not donated to anybody. Okay, 8 Democrats, 0 Republican donors. How is that okay, and why couldn't he tell Mueller to find non-partisan investigators to make up his team now? Just for a second, use your imagination. If the tables were turned, would a Democrat allow a special counsel to only appoint Republican donors? No way. What he is now doing, it's now ridiculous. It's beyond the pale, and Rosenstein should be ashamed of himself for even letting this happen. And as we've said on this program, and we've spoken numerous times about America, we can't have a twat-era justice system. It's got to be equal justice under the law. So if we believe in that, if we believe in the Constitution, then it would be time for Rosenstein and the DOJ to restore the rule of law and start looking into the massive Democratic scandals that have incontrovertible evidence that we have been telling you about. For example, on Friday, we were reporting on how the American Center for Law and Justice obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request, Department of Justice documents related to the former Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Remember that 40-minute tarmac meeting? They were talking about the grandkids that took place just days before Comey made his announcement about Hillary Clinton, and he laid out a 13-minute stinging indictment just to finish with "never mind." Now, the revelations are stunning. And according to the ACLJ, well, the FBI lied about the existence that documents were even there and telling the legal group they didn't exist. Second, there are several email exchanges between FBI and DOJ officials with the subject, quote, flag, where they discussed how media outlets were starting to report on the tarmac meeting, which obviously is inappropriate. Then they came up with a set of talking points, but in the emails that were released, well, those talking points were redacted. The DOJ and FBI are not supposed to be political organizations. They are to be non-political. And that begs the question, why are the FBI, why is the DOJ coming up with talking points if they're not supposed to be political? And if that's not bad enough, tonight we have another stunning piece of information from those DOJ documents. The Daily Caller reported earlier today the ACLJ has confirmed that Loretta Lynch used an email alias as Attorney General, going with the name of, quote, Elizabeth Carlisle. And according to our friend, Greg Jarrett, public officials like Loretta Lynch are not supposed to do that. But Lynch's attorney defended her use of the fake name in a statement to the Daily Caller, so apparently, that kind of conduct that's only acceptable in the Obama Department of Justice doesn't seem to impact Rosenstein. Now, in addition to finding out that Lynch used the email alias, documents also show that Lynch was aware of these talking points that were created while the same person that said, "Oh, it's not an investigation, it's a matter, let's take a look here." Lynch's reply in an email chain with the subject line, quote, talking points statement. Lynch wrote, quote, thanks to all who worked on this, and then signed it tag. So Lynch, who didn't think it was necessary to tell you, the American people, about meeting Bill Clinton on a tarmac, just days before she was going to make a ruling on his wife, for 40 minutes not talking about grandchildren, in my opinion helped craft talking points about the encounter only after the media picked it up on their own and then they started reporting on it on top of James Comey testifying that Lynch told him to call this investigation a matter. Well, that was a Clinton talking point. So should Loretta Lynch now have to testify under oath about these matters? The answer is obviously yes. This is the definition of the twat-era justice system I've been talking about. This has to end. You want another example? Hillary Clinton had secret, top secret, special access program, classified information on an unsecure server in a mom-and-pop shop bathroom closet. She deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails and then, just to make sure, she acid-washed the whole thing with bleach. And then she had an aide, according to reports, smashing mobile phones with hammers, and her legal team finally does turn over to the FBI Blackberries, but they're useless to the FBI. They didn't have their SIM cards. Oh, mere oversight. Then there's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, her IT staffer arrested for bank fraud. Remember, double billing. He's trying to flee the country after sending money to Pakistan. Wasserman Schultz is defending her decision to keep this guy on the payroll despite the fact that he was under investigation and didn't have access to the House servers. And there's this. Similar to Clinton, the Daily Caller reported the FBI has seized 2 smashed hard drives. What is it with Democrats wanting to smash hard drives, bleach but hard drives and servers and smash devices? This is like an obsession of theirs. In my world where I grew up, that's called obstruction of justice. Now, the staffer's lawyer is disputing this, but I'm not buying it. Next is the Obama administration. Okay, what about all the unmasking? Sarah Carter reporting last week former Obama National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes is now a person of interest in the House Intelligence Committee's investigations into unmasking thoughts of your fellow citizens. And a report from the Washington Free Beacon, former Obama UN Ambassador Samantha Power unmasked hundreds of people in her final year, an election year, many related to Trump. Why would a UN ambassador need to do that now? Sources that spoke to the Free Beacon, they said this is unprecedented. And we also learned Congress is questioning other former Obama officials, Susan Rice, John Brennan, about unmasking. Then on top of that, we got the issue of intelligence leaks. Also, The Hill's John Solomon reporting that the former Obama Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, remember him, he made it easier for those officials in the executive branch of Obama to unmask members of Congress and their staffers. Why aren't special counsels being called to investigate all of these instances? The Constitution of this great country is now being shredded right before your very eyes. Your Fourth Amendment privacy rights are being violated, and it seems like on a daily basis. Then there's out of control, dangerous leaks from the deep state, almost a leak a day. It's happening at the rate of 7 times greater than the previous 2 administrations. And you know what this has got to end. It is literally impeding the progress of the President of the United States. For example, transcripts, remember last week, of the President's phone call, let's see, with the Prime Minister and with the President of other country. When has that ever been leaked? These are crimes of the deep state that need to be investigated. People need to be charged. They need to be put under oath, and some of them need to go to jail. And Sarah Carter reported that the FBI's top lawyer, remember him, James Baker, the chief counsel, HES, also under investigation for leaking to the media. James Comey admitted under oath he had a friend leak information to the New York Times. Now, the Attorney General Jeff Sessions, finally, good for him, he announced on Friday that the Department of Justice is going to crack down on these deep state leaks. And finally, there's the anti-Trump fake news dossier. Fusion GPS, the opposition research firm with ties to Democrats, remember, they were behind that. The dossier was put together by that former British spy, Christopher Steele, and used sources that were tied to the Russian government. Well, now the evidence is so overwhelming, even Democrats, even Congressman Adam Schiff, Mr. I want to be a talk show host guest at any time I can, HES now admitted he wants to talk to Steele, which is even more reason that we need special counsels looking into all of these incidences now. It all comes down to this. Does Rod Rosenstein know what is going to happen if Mueller's mission creep continues to go unchecked? How does he think voters are going to feel? How many Trump supporters will feel robbed of their right and the vote in the free election of the President of the United States? You don't think the country is divided enough? Now it will be more divided than ever. Half the American people are going to rightly feel cheated. And that just can't happen. That is bad for the country. That is bad for the system of justice. And it is bad if we believe in a constitutional republic. Here with reaction, Fox News anchor, attorney Greg Jarrett, Salem nationally syndicated radio talk show host Larry Elder. You have been all over these laws. The evidence in all these cases is overwhelming. What do you think first about Rosenstein? Greg Jarrett, Fox News. You know, very shortly after Mueller was appointed by Rosenstein, I wrote columns saying both Mueller and Rosenstein must recuse themselves. It's abundantly clear. Think about Rosenstein. He's prosecutor and investigator and witness all rolled into one. Laughter. Jarrett, the canons of Hannity. How is that possible? Jarrett, I mean, lawyers across America have to be laughing at Rod Rosenstein. I mean, you have to recuse yourself under the canons of ethics and the Department of Justice's own regulations, and yet he is ignoring them with impunity. Normally, you would go to a judge if you were an aggrieved defendant saying HES got to recuse himself. The problem here is the case isn't ripe yet because it's only an investigation. No charges have been filed yet. So no federal judge is going to intervene yet to make Rosenstein recuse Hannity. I can't believe, because we moved from Trump campaign, Russia collusion, into all these other areas. Now it's obstruction, now it's finances, and who you know what this is like. Look at Patrick Fitzgerald. It started out Valerie Plame. He knew on day one Richard Armitage was the leaker, and we ended up 3 years later with what I would argue is a perjury trap because Scooter Libby wouldn't give up the vice president. Jarrett, right. You know, Rosenstein, it was a very clever subterfuge on Fox News Sunday when he tried to imply there's a scope and Mueller has to be within the limit of the scope of the investigation. Rod, there is no scope because you gave him Hannity supposed to be narrow. Jarrett, yes, inaudible be Russian links to the Trump campaign. But then Rod added an extra phrase, or any other related matter. Hannity. Jarrett, so that's almost open-ended discretion and ending. Hannity. All right, Larry Elder, let me. A lot of people don't know you are an attorney by trade, in spite of your history as being a talk show host and a successful one. So my question to you is, let's put your legal hat on. Analyze all that's happening here. Larry Elder, radio talk show host. Well, Sean, let's game this thing out. Worst case scenario, the Democrats take over the House. I don't believe you're going to find enough Democrats to feel the way Maxine Waters feels about Donald Trump and to impeach him. Assuming, however, that I am wrong and it ends up getting into the Senate, you need 2/3 of the people to agree to convict and throw him out of office. It ain't going to happen now. The original sin was that there was a special prosecutor appointed in the first place. That shouldn't have happened. As we point out, there wasn't one for Chinagate. Even though the Chinese nationals and other intermediaries gave about $2.5 million illegally to the DNC, there was no special prosecutor, even though the FBI had said if there's any reason for a special prosecutor, it is here. And Sean, you didn't mention Sandy Berger. Remember him, the national security advisor under Bill Clinton. He was tasked by Bill Clinton to go to the National Archives, get documents to prepare for the 9/11 Commission to find out why we didn't connect the dots and stop Osama bin Laden. He steals documents out of the National Archives, given a slap on the wrist, and one of the terms of his plea deal was that he was supposed to undergo a polygraph to find out exactly what he took. It never happened, sir. Selective outrage, hypocrisy, double standards. Hannity, what about? Elder, that's exactly inaudible here. Hannity, where are the other special counsels? Hillary did commit crimes. There's no doubt she committed crimes. How does she escape free? Jarrett, that's right. Hannity, what about all of these people leaking? And I applaud the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, for now digging deep into this. But I also want to see either the Attorney General, he can do it on other issues. Jarrett, right. Hannity, he can do it with the Clintons. He can do it on Debbie Wasserman Schultz. He can do it on Ukrainian collusion. Elder, well, Sean, people. Hannity, uranium one. Elder Sean, people see through this. There wasn't special prosecutor for Lois Lerner and the IRS scandal. There hasn't been a special prosecutor for the Clinton Foundation. There hasn't been one for the Espionage Act. There wasn't one for Chinagate. There wasn't one for Fast and Furious. People see through this. And if Donald Trump is listening, Mr. President, let it ride. It's a political process. People see through it. It won't hurt your presidency. Make sure you get us that 3% plus GDP, and nobody's going to care. Hannity, Greg laughed at Jarrett. I sort of agree. You know, these leaks are important. They need to get to the bottom of them. Most of them. Hannity, isn't it the biggest threat to the presidency right now? Because I believe it is. If you have one a day and your staff is spending 85% of the time and they're all illegal leaks, if it's intelligence, it prevents the president from doing his job. The American people are the losers here. The forgotten men and women that voted for him are the losers in all this. Jarrett, and last week's leaks are a perfect example. Classified information, conversations with foreign leaders. Hannity, when has that ever happened? Jarrett, which foreign leader now wants to openly? Hannity, nobody. Jarrett, and frankly talk to the President of the United States. Hannity, nobody. Jarrett, and that hinders the President's ability. Hannity, to be Commander-in-Chief. Jarrett, to be Commander-in-Chief and protect. Hannity, this country. Jarrett, right. Hannity, all right, guys. Good to see you all. We have a lot more to come tonight on this busy breaking Monday news night. Jay Sekulow HES next. Also, Drive. Gorka. There are no good solutions in North Korea. The latest on those threats. Eric and Lara Trump in studio straight ahead. Commercial break. Hannity, welcome back to Hannity. Now, as we told you in our important opening monologue tonight, controversy continues to swirl around the former Obama Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, after it was reported that she was conducting official State Department sick business under an email alias, including conversations about her now infamous tarmac meeting with former President Bill Clinton. Here with reaction now, the chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, one of the president's attorneys, Jay Sekulow, is with us. When you look at the Department of Justice and the FBI talking about, oh, let's put out talking points because an inappropriate meeting takes place, what does that tell you? JSEKULOW, Trump legal team? Well, it tells me that we put a timeline together, Sean, of this entire event, and it takes place over about 72 hours. And the Department of Justice and ultimately, the FBI, including James Comey's chief of staff and senior counsel, all became involved in this, and they were in a bit of a panic mode on how to respond. They know that they were caught in what was a clearly not appropriate meeting that was with Loretta Lynch, who was then the Attorney General, and then former President Bill Clinton right before Secretary Clinton was about to be investigated, actually be interviewed. So this takes place immediately before then. It gets public, and they're trying to figure out how to respond. And what's interesting here is this reaches up to the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, the Chief of Staff for the FBI, the Attorney General of the United States, although in this email, she goes by the name of Elizabeth Carlisle. That was her alias, if you will. She went by this name. For whatever reason, they decided to do it, but it's part of our request that we got out of the federal court. The Department of Justice was required to give us evidence related to it, documentation, and that was included in this. But what it tells you is, when you go through the whole timeline here, you have, besides the fact that reporters are calling and they're trying to retweak stories, and you could tell just from the email traffic these reporters didn't even want to do this story. They were being compelled to, even if Fox News is covering it, they maybe won't have to. This is how they're sharing this back and forth. But at the end of the day, this goes right up to the Attorney General of the United States, and frankly, right at the doorstep of the FBI Director. Hannity. Does this potentially expose its own version of collusion, that they're trying to cover up the fact they were in the fix, if you will, for Hillary Clinton, and they didn't want it exposed, and add to that that it's not an investigation, it's a matter that seems to be building a case. SEKULOW, and add to that yes, but add to that also, Sean, that the basis upon which James Comey said he went public was because of these meetings that we've got the documents on now. Hannity. Yes. SEKULOW, that's the reason he said he made that public statement, because he said the integrity of the agency, the FBI, was put at risk, and the Department of Justice, by Loretta Lynch's action. But remember that she never recused herself from the actual outcome of the proceeding. That was the irony of all this. But yes, it points to a whole level of not only an audible attempt to craft a narrative. We are going back to court, by the way, to get what that final narrative was, because that they redacted. So we're going to get that from federal court. We're going back in. But what this shows today, it went to the Attorney General and went right to the doorstep of the FBI Director, and ultimately to him because, obviously, his Chief of Staff informed of him exactly what was going on with this nonsense, because he comes out and makes that statement. And you can't look at that in a vacuum. You got to put that in the context of exactly what took place. He makes that speech where he exonerates, but he said the reason he went public when he gave his testimony before Congress. What was the reason he went public? Because of the meeting on the tarmac. Hannity. What about Rosenstein? SEKULOW, that was the reason he did this. Hannity, and his interview this weekend with Fox's own Chris Wallace. What is your take on that? Because I see investigative mission creep. It was supposed to be about Russia. Now inaudible finances. Now we're at obstruction. Crosstalk. Hannity, to conflict with Rosenstein, doesn't it? Because he wrote the letter about Comey. SEKULOW. No, I think look, here's what happened. I think Rod Rosenstein appropriately stated that there's not going to be a fishing expedition. He said that twice in the course of the Chris Wallace interview, so. Hannity. But it seems like. SEKULOW. I think he understands. Hannity, there is one to me. I won't let you weigh in on that because of your position, but he says that, but it seems to be going there. SEKULOW, you know, look, I mean, there's a specific mandate that is the basis upon which Bob Mueller can exercise his jurisdiction, so to speak. It's a specific mandate. And what Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, who's the acting Attorney General for this, said was, we're not this isn't going to be fishing exhibitions. We're not letting it go beyond that. It's going to be within that mandate. And he said it twice. So I actually think that was encouraging, that this is not going to be a fishing expedition, that they're going to do their job and do it expeditiously. Hannity, where are the special counsels on all the issues that I seem to be, like, a voice in the wilderness bringing up? SEKULOW, yes. Where's the grand jury on all this? I mean, ask that question. Where is the grand jury on all of what I'm holding in my hand? Why was none of this investigated and no subpoenas issued there so that? Crosstalk. Hannity, concessions to that. Does Rosenstein have to do that? SEKULOW, well, this is not related to Russia, so this would fall within the normal parameters of the Department of Justice. And Sean, to be fair here, they may well be investigating this. You normally would not know that was going on. That usually goes on if it's a grand jury that's investigating this. It's normally do their business without it being a public discussion about it. So maybe that is going on. But it does point to this when you look at this narrative and this timeline on this FOIA request. It's incredible what was going on. They knew they had a tempest in a teapot here, and they were trying to figure out the best way to handle it. Hannity, wow. SEKULOW, and it ends up being that James Comey's got to make that final statement, which put the whole justice system at risk, if you ask me. Hannity: oh, total corroboration that it's political. And we need equal justice under the law. SEKULOW: yes, no question. Hannity: all right. J. Sekulo: thank you. Appreciate it. When we come back, there's no good solution to North Korea. They're now vowing to launch, quote, thousand-fold revenge against the US. Drive. Gorka weighs in. Also, Eric and Lara Trump are here in studio. Commercial break. Kelly Wright, Fox News correspondent live from America's news headquarters, Kelly Wright in New York. Here's what is going on. U.S. spy satellites have detected North Korea loading 2 anti-ship cruise missiles onto a patrol boat. This is the first that has happened since 2014. The move suggests Pyongyang might be getting ready to conduct a missile test. It follows this weekend's UN Security Council vote to impose new sanctions on North Korean exports over the country's recent ballistic missile test. Attorney General Jeff Sessions taking a swipe at Chicago after the city filed suit over the Trump administration's bid to withhold public safety grants from so-called sanctuary cities. Sessions releasing a statement saying the Trump administration, quote, will not simply give away grant dollars to city governments that proudly violate the rule of law. Sessions also adding, quote, it's this simple: comply with the law or forgo taxpayer dollars. Sean Hannity, Fox News host. Welcome back to Hannity. So over the weekend the UN Security Council unanimously approved new sanctions against North Korea. In response, the rogue regime vowed to launch, quote, a thousand-fold revenge against the United States and that, quote, under no circumstances will it negotiate its nuclear missile weapons program. Mr. Trump, he took to Twitter last night, writing, quote, just completed a call with President Moon of South Korea, very happy and impressed with 150 United Nations vote on North Korea's sanctions. And Fox News has learned that the American spy satellites have detected North Korea loading 2 anti-ship cruise missiles onto a patrol boat. Joining us now with reaction, the Deputy Assistant to the President, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. I know that H.R. McMaster has said today, Dr. Gorka, the U.S. is preparing for a preventative war against North Korea. You and I have discussed there is no good answer after Bill Clinton tried to bribe them, said they would get nuclear weapons, said it was a great deal for America. They used our money to build them because of poor negotiations. I don't see a good option here. Drive. Gorka. Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Deputy Assistant to the President. Well, Sean, I am sure North Korea is watching Western media and especially your show, and they need to know something. This is not the Obama White House. And there is a very different man today as Commander-in-Chief, and they should not test President Donald J. Trump. Hannity, what do you make of Kim Jong-un and his thousand-fold revenge? What do you make of the continued saber-rattling last week? Not only did we have the notice that ICBMs could literally reach New York City and Boston, Massachusetts, and of course HES moving towards submarine potential launches, and we saw that. Now we have him vowing all this revenge. And how do you defend against a country once they have nuclear weapons? Because let's say we take out those sites, or try to, can they launch against South Korea in the interim? Can they launch against Japan? Will they dare to take on China with weapons? We are literally talking about the potential of millions of humans dying. Gorka, they can rattle their rusty sabers. But the fact is this is a sadistic, dictatorial regime. And what they have been trying to do ever since the facilitation of the weapons programs by the Clinton White House and then the Obama White House is to blackmail us, to blackmail the West. But that all ended this weekend. Think about all of the people who not just underestimated but criticized this president. What did he achieve with the good offices of Ambassador Haley, Secretary Tillerson? We have a 150 vote in the UN Security Council, including permanent members like China and Russia, that brought the most stringent package of sanctions against North Korea we have ever seen. They have backed themselves into a corner, and they need to back down. Hannity, I agree, but is this guy crazy enough? Is he crazy enough to launch a nuke? The former Soviet Union understood mutually assured destruction. It was huge vote to get China and Russia, 150, nobody in the media covers it. But is it enough to stop this madman, or is he even mad? HES just, again, he likes to cause trouble on the world stage. Gorka, this is not the Cold War. Remember, during the Cold War we had this phrase, correlation of force. We had a balance, we had a standoff, more than 20,000 nuclear warheads on either side. This is not the Soviet Union. This is a Potemkin village. This regime cannot even feed its own people, that's how much of a paper tiger it is. So now they have to send a very clear message. Rex Tillerson today at the ASEAN meeting said they can send a signal, no more ballistic missile testing. Then we will know that sanity reigns and they don't want to bring down the ire of the president and the Western community against North Korea. Hannity, why do I think it is a real clear, present danger to the world, and that with all of the talk about all these, in many cases Russia, superfluous issues, this could define the Donald Trump presidency more than anything else, and you could see a world coalition. We saw the former Soviet Union and the US aligning against Nazism and fascism in World War II. Could it be the world now aligning against North Korea to prevent nuclear war? Gorka, we inherited a world on fire. 8 years of leading from behind and strategic patience saw a more militaristic China, saw the rise of North Korea, the establishment of the Islamic State, the invasion of the Ukraine. This is what President Trump has inherited. But now there is leadership. It's not the creation of vacuums. And we will stand up. You know better than anyone else, this is evil in our time. Hannity, yes, it is. Gorka, and we will not back down from evil, Sean. Not this president, not his team. Hannity, I don't see it at all. I think they haven't figured out this is a different world now. All right, drive. Gorka, I don't see a good answer here. Pretty scary, pretty chilling. I hope people pay attention. That 150 vote deserved a lot more attention in the media. Thank you, sir, for being with us. And coming up right after the break on this breaking news night, Eric and Lara Trump will be here as we continue on the news of the day and much more. Commercial break. Hannity, welcome back to Hannity. So today marks the 200th day of Donald Trump's presidency. And despite some of the distractions in the media and the attacks and all of that, the president believes that his movement is gaining momentum. Earlier today he tweeted, quote, "Hard to believe that the 247 fake news on CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post, the Trump base is getting better." Here with reaction from the Trump Organization, Eric Trump and senior advisor for Trump for president, Lara Trump is with us. In 5 weeks you guys are getting your first baby. Lara Trump, senior advisor, Trump for president. I know. I can't believe it. Hannity, we need a Make America Great Again bib, a Make America Great Again hat. Lara Trump, I know where we can get all those things, that's the best part. Hannity, where Lara Trump the campaign. Hannity, exactly. Hannity, one thing that I think is a real big indicator, you are working on the re-election campaign, right? Lara Trump, absolutely. Hannity, and I was reading numbers recently, and the Democrats are broke, and in spite of all of the negative press you guys are killing it financially. Lara Trump, we're so proud. We work every day alongside the RNC. And we have so much money in the bank right now. In fact, I think we have more money. Hannity, you should never say that because you will always need more for the campaign. Laughter. Lara Trump, we always need more, but the good news is that we have built a war chest, and we feel strong going into 2020, and we are only in 2017. And then you look at the other side and they are doing terribly. The DNC is almost broke. And I think it speaks to the fact that people in this country are very excited about the president. They are excited about the great changes they have seen since he has taken office, and they are really supporting him and they're behind him. Hannity, right after your dad became the president, I went to Washington. I interviewed Paul Ryan, and Paul Ryan gave me a whole list of things that are going to be accomplished, done, even with a margin built in. Healthcare repeal and replace, which they did it in the House to their credit. 2 budgets are going to be passed, the wall is going to be funded, everything. What is happening? Eric Trump, the Trump Organization, it's all going to get done. If you look at 200 days, right, it's actually pretty amazing. It is 200 days and time flies in a certain way. Hannity, time flies when you're having fun. This has been fun, Eric Trump. Look at what HE's done, though. Look at where the markets are. The US economy has gained $4 trillion. $4 trillion. Hannity, 1 million new jobs. Eric Trump in the first 200 days. Hannity, lowest number of people on food stamps in 7 years. Eric Trump, Keystone Pipeline. Highest consumer confidence in generations. Highest small business confidence in generations. You look at what my father has done for veterans. One of the major pleas that we heard when we went about the country. You look at what HE's doing to destroy MS-13 and the gangs in this country. You look at what HE's doing on the southern border and the crackdown on illegal immigrants coming across the border. He has done so much. HE's doing so incredibly well. Look at the Dow. How many times has the Dow broke another historic record? It is 56 times in the last 200 days. It's incredible, Sean Hannity. Here's my question. Every American, everybody who watches this show could probably recite your dad's identity, the things he fights for. We saw it in West Virginia last week. But the Republican Party, they can't even get a 7.5-year-old promise over the finish line in the Senate. I am not angry. I'm more apoplectic about the lack of progress from their end. Thoughts? Lara Trump. Listen, I think, like I said, Eric and I, we feel very good about the RNC as a whole, but you always have a couple holdouts. And the swamp is very thick in Washington, D.C. And you do have the lingering people who don't want to see the president succeed and never were on Hannity, even Republicans, though. I thought this was the party of limited government, greater freedom, choice, capitalism, competition. This should be right up their alley. I didn't hear them talking about health savings accounts, healthcare cooperatives, which would greatly reduce premiums for people that need healthcare desperately. Eric Trump, it is going to get done. They're all going to get done. My father cares tremendously about repealing Obamacare because it's a disaster. He talks about it every single night, but it's an absolute disaster, and I can't tell you how many days we were on the campaign trail where people would come up to us literally crying saying, I used to have health care, my family used to have health care, I used to have a doctor I like. Now I no longer have the doctor, my premiums have gone up 300%, I have to opt out. And the worst part of this is at the end of the year I actually have to pay a penalty because I can no longer afford something that I loved before. I think it will get done. I think repeal and replace has to get done. Hannity, you do. Your dad is still pushing Republicans in the Senate. Either you are quitters or go back and get the job done. Eric Trump, do they let him down? There's no question about it. They let him down. He had it done, he had it finished, it was on the 1-yard line, and unfortunately they let him down. Hannity, and when we come back, what is it like to be under attack every day as we continue? Commercial break. Hannity. Welcome back to Hannity as we continue with Eric and Lara Trump. And good to see you both. You have lived, you watched the special counsel. I keep pointing out you've got Ukrainian collusion, you've got Uranium One, you've got deep state leaks, almost one a day, you've got Hillary Clinton's issues and crimes, you've got the special counsel to the FBI investigated for leaking, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you've got James Comey. This has been an eventful, to say the least, 200 days, but a lot is geared to your family, your father. Do you think this is personal, Eric Trump? Yes. Hannity, is he really a threat to all of them to that extent that they want to prevent his agenda from getting past Eric Trump? Do I think it is personal? Yes. Do I think Washington is a lot more corrupt than most Americans think? Absolutely, no question about it. The Uranium One is the most boggling thing of all time. We gave uranium. We have the vast majority. Hannity, up to 20%. Eric Trump, the United States stockpile of uranium, the material you use to make nuclear weapons, to Russia. Think about that. And nothing gets done about it. They harp over an email that is total nonsense. Think about that jail. Think about the fact that Saudi Arabia was giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. Think about all of these, Hannity, and the way they treat women, gays, lesbians, Christians, and Jews. Yes, that's hypocritical. Eric Trump, it makes no sense. It just makes no sense. You see Loretta Lynch on the plane, you see all these other things, and no one cares about it. It really actually speaks to the Hannity. I feel like a little voice in the wilderness, Eric, I really do. And there's such deep corruption. But it is your family, you are close to it, and knowing your father and as many years as I have before he got into this, he seems to handle it like it just doesn't bother him. He likes to fight back. Lara Trump, I say it all of the time. They can work as hard as they want to stop Donald Trump, but I never have seen anyone outwork my father-in-law. And he will keep fighting for the American people to the bitter end. And Eric said it. He will get these things accomplished. He will keep fighting for the people that put him in office because that is so important to him. Remember, this is a man who did not need this job, Sean. He had the greatest life in the world and he put it aside because he saw real problems in this country and he knew he probably is the only person that can get through them. And they are very scared of him. That's why you see so much of this out there. And I know without a doubt when you see them attacking him, it means he's doing things right because they are very, very scared. Hannity, I actually think the Republicans are going on yet another vacation. I never seen so much vacation by members of Congress. They have taken more vacation this year, which is average, than I have taken in the last 15 years. I've never seen anything like it. Your dad is not on vacation in spite of reports, right? He's working. Eric Trump: yes. My father is not on vacation. I never in my life seen my father take a vacation. Laughter. Hannity: even you didn't go to Aruba with your dad, Eric Trump. I didn't inherit that trait. But he is a worker and he takes this job incredibly seriously. And that's why when you look at all of the accolades of things that help's gotten done, it's substantial. And that's who he is as a person. He's a hard driver. He's a fast mover. If you look at the campaign, there's never been somebody who worked harder in a presidential campaign ever. He went to 6-7 rallies in front of 20,000 people a day. Hannity: the rallies are even stronger now. It seems like the people that voted for him instinctively see him under fire and want to help him. Eric Trump: we went to West Virginia together and it was incredible. You had 20,000 people in a room. You're literally driving up to the venue. It's people as far as the eye can see, and they're going crazy. They come out with their handmade signs, and that speaks to love. And they went out and put the time in. They are waiting there for hours and hours. They want to see the president. You finally have a person. Hannity: what makes you think that Republicans will finally step up? Eric Trump: I certainly hope they do. They better, because he's doing great things for this country. Hannity: they better or they're going to get fired. Eric Trump: he's changing this nation. From every possible indices, he's doing unbelievable things for the country. This country has more jobs. This country is wealthier. It's stronger. Hannity: you get his economic plan passed and you couple it with energy independence, I think you see unemployment eliminated. You really can create so many career high-paying jobs. So 5 wick, congratulations. Lara Trump: thank you. Hannity: have you practiced lamars? Are you ready to support her? Laughter. Eric Trump: I am ready to support her. Hannity: I remember I went to Lamar's class, and the lady was very kind, and she goes, now I want to you do it. I'm like, I am not having the baby. Why do I have to do this? You can help. Eric Trump: we've been nesting. I've been hanging mirrors. I've been putting together cribs and furniture. Lara Trump: that's true. He's very handy. Eric Trump: so we've been doing a good job. Hannity: 10 years as a contractor, I am pretty handy, too. Eric Trump: and Grandpa is excited, too. Hannity: we appreciate you being with us. When we came back we have more Hannity right after this quick break. Commercial break. Hannity: all right, way out of time. Remember, this show will always be fair and balanced. Thanks for being with us. Set your DVR. See you back here tomorrow night. Content and programming copyright 2017 Fox News Network, LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2017 CQ Roll Call, Inc. All materials herein are protected by United States copyright law and may not be reproduced, distributed, transmitted, displayed, published or broadcast without the prior written permission of CQ Roll Call. You may not alter or remove any trademark, copyright or other notice from copies of the content.